Hi, this is Bob Scully, and welcome to another edition of the World Show, Entrepreneurs, the Fiera Series. Putting a roof over your head is one of the oldest and wisest definitions of prosperity and safety. It's right up there with putting food on the table or putting clothes on your back. Yet we think a lot more about the food and the clothes than we do about the roof. We take it for granted. We never look at it. Builders will tell you it's the most sensitive and important part of the house. It's what you should always look after and fix first. So we thought, well, let's go meet a great entrepreneur in that industry. He'll tell us about it. And we found him. His name is René Laplante. He sells roofs all over North America. He may even have put one over your head. Here he is. René Laplante, it's always a good sign when a company lasts through many generations of the same family. And so let's go back to when it all started. I think it started with your grandfather's brother.
Correct. It was Émile Laplante, his brother, or great uncle, you might say, that started the company in 1929.
Bad time to start?
Absolutely. During the Depression and so on. And then there was the Second World War in 1940 that started. So he was impacted with a lot of global issues, you might say. But he was an entrepreneur who started a business. We don't know how he got into the metal roofing business because we had heard that he was a shoe salesman at one point. So it's
not quite the same.
Not exactly the same for sure.
But still, though, if he lasted from 29 right through the Second World War for, that's 15 years, that's a whole generation, he had the entrepreneurial stamina. Correct. He could have gone down. In the 30s, a lot of companies went bankrupt.
Well, what was the biggest hardship that he had at the time was during the war, they were importing, before the war, they were importing steel from British Steel in Britain. And they couldn't get a supply anymore, and in Canada, all the steel mills were supplying the war effort. So there was no steel for my great uncle to make the metal roofing that they were selling on barns and so on. So the company almost went bankrupt at that time, and that caused him health issues and so on. So that's why he sold the company to my grandfather at the time.
And your grandfather wasn't into roofs and roofing?
No, he was a men's clothing salesman. He was selling suits at a men's clothing store in Saint-Hyacinthe, Quebec, called Cuisson et Frères. And so he was another entrepreneur who took his family, my aunt and my father, and my grandmother, and went to Ottawa to continue the business that Émile, his brother, had started. So he took a gamble, and it paid off for him.
It paid off big time. But it's an example of solidarity. He wasn't exactly buying a castle, right? It wasn't a sure thing. He did it kind of to make his brother's life worthwhile and worth living in a way.
Well, you could say that, but he was looking maybe for a better future for himself and his family. Now he would be able to run his own business and so on. But they had some tough times when they got to Ottawa because they had lost most of their clientele, and my uncle had been sick and so on. So they had to rebuild the company, and companies that in the roofing business at the time that couldn't get product from them, well, they were worried that they wouldn't get supply if they started off with Ideal Roofing at the time. So that being said, they had rough going, but one customer at a time, they started to rebuild the company, and
and that passed down to your father's generation.
Correct.
And to you.
Correct, and my brother. I have a brother that works in the company as well.
And so there was a definite will to keep it going.
Exactly.
And one thing that struck me just reading over the research is the reach of us. Of course, you have a very successful company, but the reach of it astounded me. I thought naively that a roof is like bricks or cement or something, that it's all sort of local and that you buy locally, but you're selling in New Jersey, you're selling, in 6 Canadian provinces and all of New England and New York and New Jersey. That expansion, is that an exception in the industry, or?
No, some of our competitors are coast to coast. We're manufacturers of metal roofing, so our product is sold in most building and supply companies. It's sold to some specialized contractors. So it's sold in many markets. And the reason we expanded to the United States was very simple. Ottawa being very close to upstate New York at the time, Vermont, New Hampshire, we were closer there than being to the western provinces and at the time the Atlantic provinces. And there's a lot more population in New York and so on. So we thought it was an opportunity for us to grow down there, and it turned out to be good.
So some of those beautiful red barns in Vermont, in Stowe or wherever, might have your roof.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I learned many things that I really didn't know, that a lot of cheap roofing is made from asphalt, and it clutters up landfills and can melt, can burn. I mean, it's pretty terrible. Metal is the way to go.
Well, metal has got a small market share compared to asphalt roofing, but metal is maybe the problem. I find is the product of the future for roofing, because first off, it's completely recyclable, and in order to put up a metal roof on your home, given that your plywood underneath is in good shape and so on, you just have to put it over the asphalt shingles, and you have a roof that is guaranteed for 40, 50 years, depending on the make of it.
Which you wouldn't have with asphalt.
No, you wouldn't. And so for the future, our product, even at the end of its useful life, after 50 years, it'll still be recyclable. So it's a very green product that we have.
And green also in the sense that asphalt, you point out, is derived from petroleum and depends on world oil prices, and the price fluctuates, unlike metal roofing.
Absolutely. Like our product, obviously when we deliver the product, there might be some costs associated to petroleum products because of our trucks, but the product is not made with petroleum. It's made with ore or recycled cars and such products.
And it's lightning proof. Again, I got my complete education on roofs. How is it lightning proof?
Well, the big thing about a metal roof for lightning is that it disperses the electricity if it hits your roof, whereas
it conducts it
exactly
downwards. Yeah.
Downwards. So that's why they say it's a good product to have on an area where you would have a lot of lightning and so on.
And it's also it jogged my memory. I remember a famous fire up in Murray Bay in Quebec, which started when some sparks from a fireplace landed on the asphalt shingles above that were in use, and I think also spruce had been used. The whole house went down, and the whole neighborhood practically went down. That wouldn't happen with a metal roof.
No, a steel roof won't catch fire, and it won't disperse fire either. Whereas an asphalt roof or cedar shingle roof or whatever will. So it's not combustible. A metal roof. And another thing about metal roofs that people don't know, against high winds, a metal roof outperforms any other type of roofing out there. So there's
because it's heavier.
It's because of the fastening of it. There's screws, and the overlaps are a lot fewer than with the asphalt roofs. So like in areas like in Florida and so on, metal roofs, you see a lot of metal roofs over there because of that.
And how did you build the expansion that we talked about a little bit, which is considerable geographically? That calls for a sales force. A sales force costs money initially. It's an investment. How did you build it? Did you go cold calling, door knocking? How did you develop it?
Well, it was It started with our salespeople on the road. They call on some of these lumber and building material stores, and these people like our product, like their service, and started buying from us. So much so that we hired a force of American salespeople to work for us in different states. In New England we have one, in New York we have several, in Pennsylvania we have several. So that's how we built it, one customer at a time, knocking on doors, seeing if there was use for our products, if our service was good, and so on. And obviously it was, and we're doing good business over there.
And one thing that recurs a lot in your literature, and therefore it must be a significant advantage, you have some kind of system with a forklift and integrated into the truck that delivers, so that you can go right to the site of a job and boom, deposit that. Not everybody else does that, I gather, because you insist on it.
Well, we were the first to have it. Now some of our competitors have copied us on that. But yeah, it's a small forklift truck at the back of the truck. So the truck driver, if he has to deliver that on a job site, he just goes by himself and gets the load and delivers wherever a customer wants it, on whichever elevation he wants it. And at the same time, when we deliver to a lumberyard, if the forklift operator of the lumberyard is too busy, well, our guy just does it himself, unloads his own material, gets the shipper or the receiver to sign it, and it is off. So it's a way for our truck drivers to get there and back.
Do
fast.
the job. Yeah.
Correct.
And is it a heavy cargo to carry? Is it a heavy load?
Yeah, steel is a very heavy load. The car trucks normally leave with 40 to 50,000 pounds of product each time they leave.
And you've also developed a material with a very interesting name. I'm going to let you say it.
The Wakefield Bridge?
Yeah. Wakefield Bridge, and let's talk about that. What is Wakefield Bridge?
Well, Wakefield Bridge is a shingle made out of steel, pre-painted galvalume steel. It's a product that is devoted for residential roofing, and it has like horizontal lines, which is different from our regular metal roofing that you see on commercial buildings or agricultural buildings. It's especially made for residential applications.
And it's named after what?
After the Wakefield Bridge in Wakefield, Quebec.
Which is what, a covered bridge?
It is a covered bridge.
But it's not made of that material.
Actually, the bridge itself in Wakefield is made with our metal roofing, one of our other panels, the security rib, but that's not the reason it was. This product was named that way. It was found by our advertising agency that felt that Wakefield Bridge evoked a warm and fuzzy feeling with the consumer, something that had tradition and would last a long time, and so on. So that is the reason why Wakefield Bridge was taken for that name, and people seem to like it.
And I notice you offer all kinds of colors and so on. How competitive is it, and how different is your product from your competitors?
Well, if you compare asphalt shingles, it's at least 50% more than asphalt shingles as far as the cost. But our product will last 50 years, whereas asphalt shingles, it may last 15, 20 years at best. So the cost is a lot less.
And do you do roofing outside of residential? Do you still do industrial and so on?
Oh yeah, industrial and agricultural are very big lines that are our company, but the fastest growing segment of our market is residential.
So the trend is shifting.
The trend is shifting. There's a lot more house roofs out there than there are commercial roofs and siding jobs and so on. But
and you also have, we've all seen pictures of Spain and Italy and so on, and those lovely round tiles that have terracotta coloring. You make They're not terracotta, they're metal, but you make a shingle like that.
Exactly. It's called a Montesiano, and it's a product that actually does that. It imitates those
Spanish.
tiles that are made out of terracotta. So that's
But much stronger, of course.
much stronger and probably lasts longer also as well.
Well, it would last the 50 years that the other metal roofs last. But has America itself, in the United States, spawned a lot of makers of this kind of roofing? How are you able to penetrate a market like that? It's usually quite competitive.
Well, we've done it with our existing clientele, but we're also picking up new customers because our product is, we're the only ones that actually make it. Some of our competitors distribute it. So the fact that we're a manufacturer of the product gives us an edge over a lot of other people that are actually selling it.
For reasons of quality.
Reasons of quality, and also, like, since there's less distribution, we also have a cost advantage over them on that as well.
And I read in the research, and this was I got the feeling this was not a pleasant moment in the life of the company. You had a union, and you had a strike. How did that unfold?
Well, we had been, the company was organized in 1986. And obviously we weren't pleased about this, but there was labor peace until 2001. But through the years, and a lot of lawyers or people that are experts in labor relations will tell you that eventually in the history of a company, if you're unionized that long, you will have a strike or a labor strike.
Really?
Well, what happened is both sides maybe lost a bit of respect for each other, and we didn't think they were going to strike, and we didn't think it would last long. Same here. The employees didn't think that the strike would last long.
Yeah, of course.
And
It's like a war. You know how it starts, you don't know how it ends.
Exactly. Anyways, so this lasted about 3 months. Luckily, the company wasn't busy at the time. It happened in late fall, early winter, but definitely it gave us some scars, and I think in all, it got us both sides to respect each other more.
But probably both sides would never want to see this again.
No, I don't think it's a win-win situation for anyone.
And sometimes calculations are done on the back of an envelope, even when a union wins some new benefits or gains. You total them up, and it'll take years to make up what they lost during the strike.
Most likely, yeah.
Did you lose a lot of sales, or did it threaten the company?
Well, we lost some sales that year, but we regained most of our market share afterwards. But definitely, it takes a toll on the management and on the employees, a situation like that. And we wouldn't want to relive that.
And when you say respect, I guess you invest more time now in communicating with your people to prevent things from flaring up.
Absolutely. We take time each year to have a general meeting with all of them to discuss where the company is going, what are our intentions, new things coming up, competition, and so on. So we have that normally in spring or the start of summer.
And are your sales parallel to the state of housing starts? You know, they measure, when they're measuring the economy and the state of the economy, housing starts is a very good measure of that. And if a recession is coming or not, and inventories and so on, are you in parallel with that? And when there's a big recession, you get hit?
Well, if there's a recession, obviously everybody gets hit. But no, we are not parallel to residential starts, because most of the time people will put our product to replace an asphalt roof or another kind of roof that they have with one of our products. So that's it's not necessarily when a house roof is due. It's a grudge purchase. Nobody wants to buy a new roof.
Unless it's raining in the living room.
Exactly. Most families would prefer getting a new kitchen, a new
home entertainment center.
Exactly, before they put up a new roof. But one of the studies they've made on metal roofs is that people want peace of mind. So when they put a metal roof, it's there for a long time. Even people that are in their 60s will put a metal roof for peace of mind.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of
Metal roofs obviously don't leak. They can't leak. I mean, the thing is completely opaque, the shingle, right?
Well, they can leak if they're not well installed, but a properly installed ideal roofing roof will not leak if the precautions are done and it's well installed.
Is it the same patter, the same noise as on a regular old-fashioned roof, when it rains?
Well, that's people think that, but a metal roof is installed with solid backing. Most likely the attic is insulated, so it's not the same. It won't make the same noise as on a barn or on an old fishing or hunting camp that you had, where there was metal roofing was just put on strapping and so on. So it doesn't make the same noise, but
you don't buy it for the noise anyway.
No.
And I noticed also no snow problems with a metal roof.
There's no snow problems with metal roofs, especially if you have a cottage, it just slips off.
Which can save trouble, hardship, and maybe even a life.
Well, we as far as metal roofs, it is a small problem, but we have to put snow guards or snow gems or some products that we put on there to prevent the snow from falling on a car or on someone, especially in Canada.
Because it'll slip off.
It will slip off. So that's one of the precautions you need to do.
Can you easily recognize, if you're driving down the 401 or something, can you easily recognize your roof and your shingles?
Well, sometimes I have to slow down, but my wife says I'm notorious for that, slowing down in front of a barn or a house roof and just checking out whether it's Ideal Roofing's roof out there or not. And I'm always happy to signal out that it is when it is.
And even though you're not in retail, you must have told a couple of farmers and homeowners now and then, buddy, you need a metal roof.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We've done that often. And I was a salesman on the road when I started my career, so I've done that. I went to many farms and explained the product and helped the retailer to sell the product down the road. So it's been done.
And final question, the obvious question, what have you got on your roof?
I've got Wakefield Bridge on mine.
That's good. All right, so they won't catch you unawares. All right, René Laplante, long life to you and to Ideal Roofing.
Well, thank you very much.
Pleasure. René Laplante, and now here's something else coming up on the World Show.
The biggest mistakes we make are not the errors of commission, they're errors of omission. I mean, it's letting the Microsofts of the world get away. I saw Microsoft 2 months after it went public. And I was so excited about that. Gates was not presenting. This was at a conference down in Baltimore in 1986 or 7.
And you didn't
something
buy?
Like that. I was so excited. I had to buy it. And I came back and I told my partners about it. And they said, well, buy some stock. So we bought a little bit of stock. It was trading at a very high valuation of everything. High multiple of revenues, I don't even know whether they're making any money at the particular time. But I mean, it just sounded terrific. And
So you didn't buy enough?
So the checks, we bought a very small position. We then went and had a board meeting of our company. We had a very august board of directors, and the board came in, and somebody said, one of my good friends today said to me, Ian, what is this Microsoft? And I said, it's this company that has this amazing new operating system that's going to revolutionize the whole computer world. And this is going to make us a ton of money. He said, look, the thing is trading at about 50 times your projection of next year's earnings. It's got a huge multiple of book value and sales, et cetera, et cetera. He said, this is a very high-risk market. We should not own this thing. And I was not strong enough to stand up and say, we're not going to sell this thing. I'm going to put my reputation on the line. And I kowtowed to him, and we sold it. But, But
it was his mistake, really.
It was my mistake. He was a board. He was offering an opinion I'm the portfolio manager. It was my responsibility. This is what I call execution. This is what our job is. Our job is to stand up to a director and say, I'm going to put my reputation on the line. This thing is for real.
Well,
and I didn't do it.
René Laplante was our guest this week on Entrepreneurs, the Fiera series of the World Show. I'm Bob Scully. Have a great week. Thanks.